me know. I will pause this for 2 minutes, see if anybody else joins, then we can start the webinar. We have a lot to cover today, and I appreciate you guys coming. Okay, so it looks like people are joining slowly. So before we start, I just want to go over a few housekeeping items. We have an hour planned for this webinar, a pretty packed agenda. I plan to pause at the end of each section and take questions then, and then we'll have some time for questions at the end as well. So I think the best way to do this, since we have a pretty large group, is for users to use the question box feature that you can see on the GoToMeeting box. You can enter your question there, and then that way at the end of each session I can go through what we have and answer those as they come up, and then we'll again have time at the end. I do plan to record this session, so if you missed something or you want to go back and review something again, we will have a recording available, and we will also have the PowerPoint presentation posted online so you can access it that way. And finally, I want to apologize for my voice. I am fighting a cold, so hopefully you guys can understand me. I may be a little hoarse, a little nasally, but hopefully it comes across okay on the phone line, and if anybody has a problem, please just send me a note in that chat box. And we can go ahead and get started. So again, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rachel Smith. I am the IMERC coordinator for NMOA, and NMOA is the Northeast Waste Management Officials Association, and NMOA runs IMERC, which is the Interstate Mercury Education and Reduction Clearinghouse. So IMERC is essentially a program of NMOA. I have been the IMERC coordinator for 3 years. I took over for Adam Wienert, and I've been with NMOA for 10. And even when I was, before I was the IMERC coordinator, I kind of supported Adam in a lot of his work, so I've been familiar with the IMERC reporting requirements and regulations, since I've been here, so I've been involved in some way or another. I also do other projects at NMOA. I am involved in pollution prevention and sustainability projects. I'm also working on a solid waste and recycling effort we have going on. So I have a few different responsibilities here. I try to be as responsive as possible. IMERC, I do spend the majority of my time on IMERC. So if you don't hear from me, I have emails and phone calls from manufacturers and states all the time, but I do try to get back to you as quickly as possible. But I just wanted to put that out there that there's other stuff going on too with me, and I'm sure with you all as well. So with that, we can start the webinar. And my screen is not moving. So here's our agenda. We have 3 main topics of discussion. First, I will go over a summary of the 2013 Mercury-Added product data, and this is analysis that IMERC put together based on what companies reported in 2013, and we look at trends for all of the triennial reporting years. I'll also go over a live demo of our public Mercury products database, and this is where all of the detailed information that companies file online is available. We make it publicly available, and I'll kind of go over what it looks like and the type of information you can find there. Finally, I'll talk a little bit about IMERC membership and a new supporting membership that we're launching this year. and then a few other housekeeping updates and more time for question and answers. So just the background, IMERC was launched in 2001 by the Northeast states. The purpose is to provide ongoing and technical assistance to the states that have mercury education. And we also provide technical assistance to industry. So any manufacturer or distributor that makes mercury-added products, we are the point of contact for them when they have to comply with the state requirements. And we're also public contact, and EPA and other agencies typically contact IMERC rather than the individual states if they want to get information about mercury product use in the U.S. So the 2013 Mercury Product Data Analysis is our most recent analysis that we've performed. As I mentioned, we launched in 2001, and over the next few years, states passed different forms of legislation. And one of those was notification. So in 2013, there were 8 states that required IMERC notification. And those are the states that are highlighted in a dark blue. So it's most of New England, New York, and Louisiana. So the Mercury Product Data Analysis is done based on the notifications that were required by those 8 states. Any company that manufactures or sells or distributes a mercury-added product into those states, and they're listed right here, they have to notify, and they notify through IMERC's online database. We currently have about 660 companies in the database. Since we've started, about 235 have confirmed phase out, which means the company no longer makes mercury-added products. So maybe they just discontinued a product line, maybe they replaced it with a non-mercury alternative. Whatever the reason, they've phased out their mercury use. We have 35 that may still make mercury products, but they do not sell in IMERC notification states. So again, these 35 say they don't sell in the 8 states that require the notification. Therefore, they don't have to report. And we know that there's probably about 50 or even more companies that aren't filed, they haven't filed in the system. We think they should. They're non-compliant currently, and so that's one of the things I do is I'm trying to work with those companies to get them into the database and make sure they understand the reporting requirements and that they're in compliance with the regulations of these states. The notification report, it includes the type of information about the product, the mercury in the product, and then the total mercury used in the product line, sold in the U.S. every 3 years, and we started in 2001, so that means we have data for 2001, 2004, 2007, 2010, 2013. Our next report will be data for 2016, and that's due first quarter of next year. So for the companies that are on the call today, you should be aware of our e-filing database. This is the link, and this is how companies file online. I would say, 99% of the companies file online. We have a few that submit the paper copies, and I transfer the data into the database for them. And since it's not that many, it's not a big deal, but filing online is really a lot easier for manufacturers, for me. It's a lot cleaner process. So hopefully, 2016 will have everybody converted over to the online process. We have a few different types of forms, depending on the sector you're in, the type of manufacturer or distributor you are. And they're called single manufacturer, lamp, automobile, or multiple manufacturer. And even though they're labeled as manufacturer, it's the same if you're a distributor or importer. It's a single form, a lamp form, an automobile form, or a multiple form. And the multiple manufacturer forms are done by trade associations. and that is when these associations file on behalf of multiple companies. So the different types of filers are manufacturers, distributors, or wholesalers, and importers. So when you log into the system, you have to classify yourself, and this helps with the data analysis because our analysis focuses on data from the OEM. So we keep the data tied to manufacturers rather than the individual distributors and retailers and other companies, because we don't want to double count any information. We try to have the data be as accurate as possible and have no double counting of that. So this slide right now shows you a summary of the triennial report from 2001. Right now we categorize our Mercury-Added products into certain categories. So there's batteries, dental amalgam, formulated products, which are chemicals, lamps, measuring devices, miscellaneous products, which is, it's kind of vague. I'll go over that a little bit later. Switches and relays, and thermostats. So we analyze each of these categories separately. We provide the trends of Mercury use. These are reported in tons. So if you look at the years compared to Mercury use, the states use it really to look at trends and say, okay, is this product category going up? Is it going down? Are people, batteries, one of the big batteries that uses Mercury is the button cells. So it looks like, it's pretty steady. We had a big jump in 2010, and then lots of states started banning these products. So they banned Mercury button cell batteries, and as a result, in 2013, we went way down. So this slide, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. It's a quick summary. I'll go into each of the product categories in the next few slides. One item I want to note is the switches and relays category. We do not have 2013 data for this category. And the reason is because all of the 8 states that require notification currently ban the sale of Mercury-added switches and relays in that state unless the company has an approved exemption. So we do have companies, we have several companies that have had an exemption that they can sell these products in certain states, but and so they would have to file, so we do have the data from them, but it's a small percentage of the overall companies, and so we felt like if we tried to present what we have for 2013, the data would be so skewed because it'd be such a different data set that it really wouldn't be applicable. And because the states ban these, we can't ask companies for notification data. It's just, we can't ask you for something that you're not allowed to sell. So that's why we do not have 2013 data for the switches and relays category. 2010 is what is presented here. And I expect that it's, if I had to take a guess, it's probably the same. I don't think there's a huge change in this category. It's probably about the same amount as it was in 2010, but I don't really know. So that's just speculation on my part. So going into the different products, the first is batteries. Since 2001, we've had 53 manufacturers that have notified for 1 or more reporting years. And in 2013, we had 3 companies that came on as brand new companies. And that's important to note is because IMERC is constantly identifying new companies that need to notify. So, it's an ongoing process. It's hard to compare 2001 to 2013, but because of the difference in the number of manufacturers reporting, but it's what we can do. And when we identify new companies, we get them on board. We ask them for the previous data if they're able to provide, the 2001 and beyond. But if not, we say, okay, let's start you in the 2013, and we'll go forward from there. So 37, that have started since 2001 have confirmed mercury phase out. So that means 37 no longer report, so they aren't included in the 2013 data analysis because their mercury use is 0. We have one company that I know is out of compliance for 2013 notification. So again, that's part of IMERC's job, is to work with this company, try to get them back caught up into the system and make sure they're in compliance. But for this purposes of this analysis, we estimate that it's about 94% complete, because we have 94% of the people reporting that I think should report. So 2013 is 16 companies. It's important to note that there are 4 states that ban mercury batteries. That's Connecticut, Louisiana, Maine, and Rhode Island. So if you manufacture mercury button cell batteries and you want to sell into these 4 states, you have to apply for a phase-out exemption. And I think we have a couple companies that have done that already. Another view of the trend, and you can see it's pretty consistent. Early years, we had a big jump in 2010, and then, now as more states have phase-out laws, it's gone way down in 2013, and I expect 2016 will be even lower because mercury button cell batteries are just no longer being used as frequently. Dental amalgam is the next category that I'll talk about. We have 5 manufacturers that have reported for dental amalgam since 2001. And, this is a nice category. It's a small universe of manufacturers. We have 5. They've reported every single year that they've had to. So we feel that this data set is, pretty complete. 2 states currently restrict the sale of dental amalgam, and the reason is because it's based on mercury content. Louisiana and Rhode Island have a sales prohibition for any type of product that has over 10 milligrams of mercury. So companies would need to get an exemption from Louisiana or Rhode Island in order to sell the dental amalgam in those states. Again, here's a view of the trend in mercury dental amalgam since 2001. So, it has a steady decline, about 48% overall since 2001. And it just so I expect it to be similar for 2016, maybe a little bit less, but kind of continue that slow decline for this product category. The third category that I'll talk about is formulated products. And formulated products are chemicals. We've had 39 manufacturers report at one time or another. 7 are new as of 2013. 13 have confirmed phase out. There's 2 that are out of compliance that we're trying to get to report into the system. But overall, we think we got about 92% of the companies that are required to report are in there. So this report represents data for 26 companies. We do have sales restrictions noted here, Connecticut, Louisiana, Rhode Island, and Minnesota. So those states do have, they're IMERC states that have sales restrictions on certain formulated products. So this is the smallest product category in terms of mercury use. Right now it is it's about half a ton in 2015, and it's never been, more than 2. So it's a small use. What I found in recent years is a lot of the small chemical companies have been purchased by bigger ones, and I think that's consolidated some of the sales as they've worked towards, different types of products and chemicals. Mercury use in lighting. This is by far our largest category. It's the most complicated. We have about over 200 manufacturers in the system that have notified for 1 or more reporting years. These are lamp manufacturers. So I'm not including in this analysis manufacturers that make luminaires or something that requires the lamp bulb, but these are actually the bulb manufacturers and distributors that have reported. We have a few that have phased out, about 22. A lot of those, what we've heard is that they're moving to LED technology. So I think that's a trend that's going to continue. We have some companies that are out of compliance, but this 2013 report includes about 189. And so, you know, it's the largest one that I analyze. And it's the most complicated. It takes the most amount of time. There are certain restrictions for mercury-added lamps based on mercury content, and they're listed here. So Connecticut, Louisiana, Rhode Island. Maine doesn't have a specific content. They kind of defer to California's program about high mercury content lamps. And then Vermont is not based on content, it's based on the type of lamp, and specifically neon lamps. You can see that the mercury use in lighting was pretty steady for the first few years. It started going down in 2010 and continued in 2013. Again, I think this is because a lot of companies are moving towards LED. Most of this is from fluorescent and HID type lamps. We do have neon lamp manufacturers in here. I think they're probably the most underreported category, and that is, it's mainly because most of those companies are very small. So we did get a lot, you know, of new ones. If you go, we have a lot of new ones reporting for 2013, and many of those are the neon lamp companies that we were able to track down and confirm that they sold in the notification states and confirm that they needed to report. But again, I'm not sure that it's really an accurate portrayal of neon lamp. Measuring devices, we have 24 manufacturers. Measuring devices would be mostly thermometers at this stage. All of the IMERC member states currently ban measuring devices, such as barometers, manometers, flow meters, hydrometers, things like that. Massachusetts allows the sale of Mercury lab thermometers, so that's kind of why we have this data, is because the companies that make the thermometers, they still have to notify if they sell in Massachusetts. So again, we have, this is a smaller universe. There's about 9 companies included in this report. 3 we think should be included. They haven't reported yet, so we're only about a 67% complete for this category. But it's, again, it's a smaller product category. As I mentioned, the thermometers are the majority of the data set. We do have some sphygmomanometers, which are blood pressure cuffs that have been reported, some miscellaneous equipment. No company has notified for manometers or barometers, so those haven't been sold in the IMERC states in 2013. And again, just with more bans, you know, so 12 states have banned these measuring devices. I think the mercury use is going to continue to go down, especially as non-mercury alternatives get more and more popular. The last category is Mercury Use thermostats. And again, this is a nice small category. We have 8 manufacturers that have notified since 2001, and they've notified for all reporting years. All 8 have confirmed mercury phase out. So in 2013, that was our last, the last company reported their final sales, and they phased out in 2015. So when the triennial report in 2016, everything will be zeroed out. And you can see 11 of the states ban the sale of mercury thermostats. And you'll notice, you know, most places now have the programmable ones. There's lots of collection programs and recycling programs. So, I expect that they'll just continue to go down here. There's a little blip from 2015, but as of 2016, what the companies have told me, the 8 companies that we have in the system, is that they're all at 0. So miscellaneous mercury products is kind of a catch-all category. There's just 19 manufacturers included in this analysis. 8 have been added for 2013. So 16 are in the report. The restrictions are difficult. Connecticut, Louisiana, and Rhode Island have sales bans based on mercury content, so those are pretty straightforward. If the product, contains more than 100 milligrams in Connecticut or 10 milligrams in Louisiana and Rhode Island, it's banned from sale. Other bans are dependent on the type of product and which state you want to sell it in. So information is online, but if you have a question, we can talk about that later. Some of the examples of miscellaneous products that are included in this analysis would be pressure transducers, certain types of film, electrodes and electrical connectors, recoil reductions in firearms, and a mercury shock absorber in tennis elbow that was used to treat tennis elbow. So these are kind of, weird, random products that don't really fit nicely into the other categories that we've kind of tried to summarize in this miscellaneous category. Some of them, only 1 or 2 companies make these products. Others, there might be 4 or 5, but it's easier to lump them together as this. And, again, it's difficult to show an accurate trend because of the variety of products that are included in this category, but, we can estimate there's at least 2 tons of Mercury Use that are in these other products that aren't in the 6 categories identified by IMERC previously. So with that, I just want to go over there's a lot of limitations with this data. As great as it is, as robust as it is, it's important to know that these products may not be all products sold in the U.S. As I mentioned, we're continuously finding new companies. Even in 2013, there's at least 2 or 3 dozen companies that I've added into the system. And come 2016, there'll be another handful. So in order to kind of have more consistent data analysis, if a company didn't file for 2013, say they filed for 2001 through 2010, they haven't filed for 2013, but they haven't phased out either. So we think they're still making the product. They're just in non-compliance. They haven't yet filed their report, even though they're supposed to. We just estimated, for the purpose of this analysis, we estimated that they sold the same amount in 2013 as they did in 2010. So that way we can try to be a little more conservative with this approach. It's only the companies that sell into the IMERC notification states, so those 8 states. There might be small companies that sell to other states and they don't report to us, so we don't have that information to include in the data analysis. We don't have information on products exported outside the U.S., and we don't have information on products that are sold in between the triennial reporting years. So we ask companies to report every 3 years. If they sold products in between, those aren't included in the analysis. It's a snapshot of time for the particular calendar year. And also, it's only mercury that's intentionally added for use in the product. So the mercury is in the product for a reason. We don't include mercury that's used during during the manufacturing process or as a byproduct of the process. So it's only mercury in the product. So with that is our analysis. I will break for a minute to get some questions, and then I'll start the live demo. So if you have any quick questions, please use the question box, and I'll get the live demo started right up. So let's see. All right, this is kind of, I have a question, it's kind of a specific question about collection disposal for Maine. And so I'm going to hold that until the end, and I might get with the asker privately, since it seems very specific about collection program in Maine. And so I'm not ignoring your question. I'm just going to hold off on that. And I don't have anything else, so we're going to go ahead and do the demo here, because this is, again, this is, you know, meant to show you what IMERC does. So we do the analysis. That's, you know, one of the more important things. And we also make the information publicly available. So if you go to the NMOA website, click on IMERC. IMERC's a program of NMOA. Of course, my internet is slow. We're going to go to the Mercury Products database. And here is where all of that data that is inputted into the e-filing system goes. Once it's approved by the states, it gets in here, and it's a searchable database, so anybody can go in and look up Mercury product information. I want to mention that it uses Microsoft Silverlight software. It's not compatible with Google Chrome, so you have to use, if you're accessing this database, you have to use either Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, or, you know, one of the other systems. Unfortunately, it just won't work with Google Chrome. So there are 3 ways to do a search, and the first is by product category. You can search by company, or you can do a custom search. And I'm just going to spend a couple minutes giving you an example of what a search might look like. So I'm a user, I'm from the public, I come in and I'm just curious and I want to know, you know, about dental amalgam. I click on dental amalgam, it shows the 5 companies that have sold dental amalgam that report to IMERC. All right, I want to know a little bit about Dentsply. So I open it up, information about the company is here. It has all of the data for the 5 triennial reporting years. It's a little tedious clicking on them all, but it's really detailed information. You click on, this company has 5 different products. It shows the name of the product, the range of mercury, and the total amount in the reporting year. If I want, I can compare that to 2010. And I can look at the trend. And so this is the data that IMERC is putting into the analysis when we do the trends. We're, you know, grabbing this, putting it in, you know, a spreadsheet, the computer's analyzing it and spitting out the numbers from all these 5 filings, but all the 5 companies. But if you want information about one specific filer, this is what you do. And you can go on and on here. So I looked at Dentsply. Maybe I want to see what another company, what's the difference? So I check out Goldsmith and Revere. What I want to show you about this one is if you know, again, they report dental amalgam. They just have one entry, and it's a general dental amalgam product. If you remember, the Dentsply had 5 different entries, and it must have been, you know, that's just the way they categorize their product. It's a different brand, you know, a little bit different. It contains the same amount of mercury, so when we analyze it, it's all dental amalgam. It gets lumped into one category. So some companies like to have everything detailed out, listed. That's fine. That's great. You know, the more information, the better. Other companies just list it as a general category, dental amalgam, and that's fine too, because for our purposes and analysis, that's what we're looking at. We're, you know, looking at this number and the product type here. You can look at the trends here. Okay, so, oh, this company has gone down, you know, they're not selling as much amalgam. So it just kind of gives you a snapshot of information for the different company. Now, if I want to browse by company, I come in here, it gives me a list of, letter. I can search by company by name. So we'll go here. Palmer Instruments, they make thermometers. So it shows a little bit about the company. I want to see the products they make. Oh, they have 5 different types of products. Gives their range. Shows their total mercury for 2013. And I can compare that to 2010. So, states use this if they, if they want a quick look at a company's use and trend for that particular company. I'll show you another one. Advanced sterilization. So they've been reporting since 2004. So you see, not everyone has been since 2001, and it could have been that the company was new. It could have been that they didn't know about the requirements, but they're in here, and you can see the different types of products. So what I wanted to point out for this is in 2010, they had 2 different lamp products, and then 2013, it looks like they are down to 1. They no longer sold the LCD display. And so that's right here, it says phased out. They phased that product out. So when it comes to 2016, they would only have to report for this one, unless for some reason they have new products. They would have to add those in. But that's what it looks like when a company's phased out of a product. For 2016, only one would be listed, not both. And finally, I just want to show you an automobile manufacturer. Jaguar, oh, look at this. They have lots of dates, not just the triennial reporting dates. So if you're not a car company, you should thank your lucky stars, because the auto manufacturers have to report every single year. And that's because they change models so frequently. So you can see 2015 is a model year. Because it's an updated, what we call an updated notification, they don't have total mercury reporting. So the total mercury is not included in the list. Again, that's only for the triennial years, but they still have to give us an inventory. So their triennial report, the last one, was in 2013. And these are the types of products they have. Looks like they phased a lot out. For some of the products, they sold a few, and then they phased it out, or they phased it out and then they had to get rid of the inventory. So that's why these are listed with an amount and a yes for phase out. But you can see then, so that's their triennial, and they had 9 in 2013, and then by the end of the year, they had phased out all except 1. So now they just have 1 product that has a lamp in their navigation. And so that's what they report. And all companies have to do this, all auto companies have to do this every year. So it's a little, it's a little bit for extra work for them, but they don't have to do the sales data. It's just an inventory of products. So customized search. This is if you're a user, you want to get into nitty-gritty details about, different types of products. So it has the categories and subcategories that I've talked about before. Say I'm a consumer, I'm like, oh my God, toys. What kind of toy has mercury? I would click on toys. I want to know every single type of toy that might have mercury in it. This means, is it the product by itself, or is it a component in a larger product? A component in a larger product would be like a battery in a toy, or a lamp, a headlamp in an automobile. The headlamp is the component. The automobile is the larger product. For most purposes, I use both. If I was a member of the public, I probably wouldn't know what manufacturing sector toys would be under, so I would just leave it. you don't have, and mercury content, again, it's like, if you wanted to get detailed, you could say, I want to know about all the different mercury contents, but I'm going to leave it blank so it shows me everything, because I'm a consumer and I just want to know, about everything. I don't want to limit my options. So I'll search, and here is the list of all the companies that have ever reported to IMERC that they've made a toy with mercury. And it has the name of the company, the product, and the component. And as you can see, they are pretty much all batteries in the toys. You can look at here. And here we find out that this was phased out in 2006. So that's good. They had a last, got rid of their inventory, and then they phased out. So now I am going to come in and I made a mistake, and I want to know about the Mercury Use because I want to make sure that companies are complying with my state regulations for notification. So I'm going to look at formulated products. Formulated products are those chemical products. I want to know about all chemical products. I'm going to be the state of Connecticut because they have a law for formulated products. Again, you don't have to know the manufacturing sector, but I know that this is chemical manufacturing, so I'll click it. If I left it blank, it would just cover everything. Connecticut has a law for any formulated product that has more than 250 parts per million. You cannot sell in the state of Connecticut unless you have a specific exemption. So I'm going to click that because I work for Connecticut and I want to know what companies would need to file for an exemption. So search. Here's the list. And it shows you the companies and individual products. It kind of breaks it out like that. You can see there's 18 pages. So it just basically, if I was the state, I would go through this and check that, hey, this looks like a lot of mercury. I wonder if these companies have a exemption on file, and so I would follow up with them and make sure I could click on it, and it says the name of the formulated product. I want to see the trends. You can see how much has been sold in each of the triennial reporting years. And then if I wanted more information, again, I could probably go back and browse by that company, get the contact information, call them up, say, hey, it looks like you manufacture or sell this type of product. Do you sell it in Connecticut? If you do, then you need to apply for an exemption form. So that's, another example of how to use this system. And that's all I'm going to show you for now. So I'm going to have a few more slides for the rest of the presentation. So we'll close out of here. Get back to our slideshow. And we'll finish up here. So sorry for the back and forth. I just thought this would be a better way to kind of go through the report. So changing gears, that's everything that IMERC does with the data that's reported through the notification. We want to do more, and one of the ways we want to do more is we want to connect with the companies themselves. We want to connect not only with the states who we do this work for, but we want to connect with the manufacturers, the distributors, importers of Mercury-Added products. We want to connect with trade associations, and we want to connect with NGOs or any other interested parties that are interested in IMERC's work and feel that they could contribute to the organization, and we could work with them and come up with solutions to make this easier for everyone. So, we've been talking about how do we do this, how can we, build partnerships with these other organizations, and the IMERC Steering Committee decided that we want to launch a supporting membership. So we came up with this supporting membership program. Some of the benefits are listed here. Technical assistance. All companies are going to get technical assistance. If you call me, even if you're not a supporting member, I'm going to respond to you. But the idea is maybe if a company was a supporting member, we could develop a rapport, feel comfortable, and you might be quicker to ask me for help or ask me for some information. So, again, it's kind of technical assistance for the company. We're hoping to have more outside participation for certain conference calls and webinars. So webinars like this is the first one we've done in a long time. I think we want to do more of this, and so it would be great if we could have support from other entities so that we could do this, and we could talk about state mercury reduction efforts. We could talk about companies' efforts to go to non-mercury alternatives, data analysis, new legislation, hot topics, things like that. And, again, we could do discussions with IMERC states. Supporting members would be invited to some of those calls, and we could talk about, okay, well, how can we make this better? How can we make this process easier? Educational materials, we've done lots of outreach and education, we think. We want to do more, and we'd love to get others' input on how to do more and, what could make this better. So, we look to supporting members to help provide feedback on educational materials. The Mercury-Added Products data, I just showed you, I went through it really quickly, and I apologize because we had a really short amount of time for this webinar, but I went through it quickly. It's really detailed. All of the data is there. So companies, publics, users, consumers, anybody can get what they want, but what the administrators have, so what I have access to is I have summary reports, so I don't have to go through each company individually. I can generate summary reports, and that's what I use for data analysis. So members have access to that. Presumably supporting members could have access to that as well. So it's a little bit, it would be like an easier way to look at the same information. And again, educational opportunities, so particularly on non-mercury alternatives. I know a lot of companies are starting to offer non-mercury alternatives, and a lot of times there's still a need for mercury for some applications, but the states would like to hear more about the alternatives. Other companies could learn from each other. It would be a way, to promote what you're doing to reduce mercury use. So, that's another benefit potentially for supporting members. This slide has our proposed dues structure, and we talked a lot about this and how do we figure out what supporting members would owe. We have three categories. We have a manufacturer, we have trade association, and we have a non-governmental organization. And we've broken it up by size, so the size of the business, the size of the membership in the association, the size of the NGO. The dues proposed here is based on what other organizations have charged. So we looked at the Product Stewardship Institute, we looked at Toxics and Packaging Clearinghouse, Northeast Recycling Council, the Electronic Recycling Coalition. So we tried to compare it to what other organizations were charging. We did survey companies, and we got some feedback from them, and the responses were kind of all over the place, as expected, but we did take your feedback into consideration for this as well. So this is what we're proposing for dues. It would be annual dues. We created an application for people that are interested in, becoming a supporting member. So online, there's an application. There's a memorandum of agreement. So if they, as a supporting member, you support IMERC, IMERC supports you, and we list the benefits. Once IMERC is in receipt of the application and MOA, we would invoice you. we are launching this program October 1. Obviously, we accept any applications now, anytime now. But our fiscal year starts October 1 for fiscal year 2017. So we're trying to kind of align this new program with the new year. This website is where you can find all of this information. And, I'll probably be sending more information about it. But I just wanted to have a few minutes on this call to, give you a quick snapshot of what it is. And then finally, with the last 5 minutes that we have here, there's some important reminders for everybody. We have the 2016 triennial notification that's due April 1st, 2017. So you'll be getting a lot of reminders from now until then. In the meantime, so it's based on calendar year 2016. So basically, once this calendar year ends, companies will need to collect and compile Mercury sales data. As part of the process, confirm that they have approved labels. And then as soon as January 1st, 2017 kicks in, you can log onto the e-filing system and file your training report. It's due April 1st, so you have 3 months to do it. I strongly recommend getting in there early because, we have 600 or, 400 some odd companies that need to file. So the sooner you get it in, the sooner you'll get your letter of compliance and completion. Prior to that, in addition to the reminders, I'll be hosting some more webinars. I expect them to be like in early January. I did this for the 2013 session, and one of them is still posted online, a recording of that. But I'll be doing another series of webinars to gear up for that. IMERC Alert will have lots of information coming up. I think most of you are on IMERC Alert, which is how you found out about this webinar. But if you're not, double check, let me know. I can add you to that newsletter. It's an online email newsletter. And that's all my reminders. So sorry if I went through very quickly, but I wanted to make sure I got through all that. I have some questions that came up in the chat that I will go through. And the first one, somebody noticed that there are more product categories in the database that they were in the data summary. Where is the data from those other categories? So what I think this person is asking about is, in the products database that's searchable, there's categories such as appliances and TVs and displays. Those are products, so that's a product category. The component that a display would, presumably include is a lamp. So that product would be in the lamp category. Same with I think automobiles. So those are not only the main 6 product categories, they are subcategories, and it's easier for consumers sometimes to think about what I showed you, toys. Like, they're not going to look at the 6 categories that IMERC analyzes and say, I want to know about a toy. Is that going to be in batteries, formulated products, dental amalgam? What else is there? Thermostats, they might not know. So if you click on toy, but then what shows up, what I showed in that in the form was it lists the actual component is a button cell battery. So it's product categories and components listed in that. Somebody else asked about enforcement. So IMERC itself does not enforce. We are not a regulatory agency. We're a clearinghouse. I'm here to provide technical assistance and compliance. If a company is non-compliant, I do refer the company to the states for enforcement. And so the state agencies would either individually or come together and get that, send that company a letter. Probably starts with like a letter of warning saying, hey, IMERC alerted us to the fact that you haven't filed a report. You need to do so now. And different states have different levels of enforcement, so it's kind of hard to make a sweeping statement. Some would be a fine. Some have different processes. Some do letters of warning or a second notice of violation, where others immediately will fine you. So again, it just kind of depends on the state. I think if the company is located in a specific state, so the company, the headquarters is in one of the IMERC states, that gives a little incentive that, hey, you better file, because the state agency is down the street from you and they could come and enforce at any time. And we do, it's usually like on a triennial basis, we kind of look at them. Does the data reported include sales in only the 8 IMERC states? No. So even though only 8 IMERC states require this data, they ask companies to report sales for the entire U.S. And that way, the data is more consistent. It's easier for the companies to collect, and it makes it, it shows a better trend. So we decided that in 2001 that the analysis would be for the entire U.S. And so that's what we've stayed at. And it doesn't include any exports outside the U.S., so it doesn't include those sales. Okay, and I think that's all the questions I have. I'll wait a few minutes. So here's my contact information if you don't already have it. A link to the Mercury Products database is here, and a link to the fact sheets is here. So the analysis that I showed you, IMERC has created fact sheets for those 6 product categories and posted them online. The analysis is ongoing. So these fact sheets that are posted online were actually updated in January, but the analysis I showed you today, I had redone in August. So this presentation is more accurate than the fact sheets, is what I'm trying to tell you. But these fact sheets are important. They have more information. They have more information about background, phase out, the use of mercury, and again, I update them, on a regular basis whenever I get more data. So I'll probably, at the end of the year, update them to include the most recent analysis. But as you can imagine, I have probably 24 companies right now that are still pending in the database that I have to approve and add to the analysis. So because there are so many companies, it takes a long time. So that's why it's good to always check the database that has the most accurate information, and it's updated in real time. Whew, it's 2 o'clock, so hopefully you got something out of this webinar and I didn't go too fast. I'm going to record this session and post it online. I'm hoping to do more sessions like this in the future, so again, it kind of depends on the level of support we get, what we can do, but if you like this, definitely let us know. You'll be getting a link to where the information is posted tomorrow, so you can go back and check it out. And we'll be in touch, and I hope you guys all enjoy the afternoon. And definitely, if you have specific questions about anything that you saw today or that I didn't address today, but you want help with, my contact information is here, so definitely connect with me when you can. And with that, I'm going to end the webinar. So thank you for participating, and have a great day.